containing in 3 different levels of safety. So the BioRock experiment had a box inside which there was a container that had the water and the bacteria, and then we also performed all the experiment here in Columbus, away from the other modules, inside an incubator, so that we could spin the bacteria to see how they would perform in microgravity, or actually with the same conditions they would have on the ground under an acceleration, and floating in microgravity. So basically, the answer is we have. In the design itself of the experiment, we contain as much as we can any potential harm, and on the ground we take really good care of doing that. As far as an experiment like BioRock being useful for future life support system, BioRock was not designed for life support systems. We have other experiments that are going in that direction, where we want to recycle water. We want to see if we can recycle solid waste. We want to see how we can improve the stability of an environment. BioRock was really designed more as a mining idea. Like, if we are going to exploit resources on a different planet or a different satellite or an asteroid, how can we do that? Can we use existing bacteria, and can we change them, maybe modify them so that they suit our needs?
This is Jan speaking from Willy Brandt Gesamtschule in Germany. My students and I, we really would like to know, how do space missions affect you physically and psychologically, and what characteristics, knowledge and skills will astronauts need for future deep space missions?
Well, that's a great question. You guys are very hard questions. Okay, so first of all, from a physical point of view, as you can see, I am completely weightless here in orbit, and the way it affects my body is that if I didn't do anything at all while I'm up here, it would lead to very quick degeneration of my muscle structure and bone structure, something very similar to osteoporosis, a rapid onset osteoporosis. We have other effects. We have a fluid shift that changes the pressure distribution in our body, and we are studying all those effects. But the best way I can answer that is, in order to avoid any changes, any physiological change, we really have put in place a lot of countermeasures during the years. That's why we've had the space station for 20 years. We have now learned that by working out every day, doing physical exercise, up to 2.5 hours every day of physical exercise, lifting weights, running, cycling, we can keep those changes to a minimum. There are also potential changes to our sight. There are possible changes to our hearing because of the background environment, and our engineers on the ground do all they can to prevent those from being permanent. Psychologically, well, it's hard to tell, because we are the ones on the space station and we feel great. We have human interaction all the time, and we choose to be up here. There is no imposition. So in general, I can tell you that the crews that are on the space station are really happy to be up here. And I'm not aware of any psychological changes other than the ones you can expect. Like, we miss our families. We miss, after a couple of months of being up here in a very artificial environment, we miss natural things like natural food, natural sights, smells, the rain, the wind, the sun. Those are psychological impacts. But I'll tell you what, because we do know that those impacts are not permanent, and this is a limited experience in time, we actually know how to deal with that just by talking, looking outside, sharing the experience with the people on the ground, and making sure that we stay well connected, and that's the best way to do it. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Luca. We're now heading over to Italy for 2 questions. Italy, please go ahead.
Good morning, Luca. I'm Claudia Piantini from Secondary School Principe di Piemonte Moscati in Rome. I'm honored to meet you, and the question that my students would like to ask you is the following. For us, going beyond means overcoming our own limitations and difficulties, and also overcoming our thoughts, or being willing to change our knowledge and our beliefs. In your work as an astronaut on the ISS, when and how have you had the opportunity to go beyond your experience and professionalism? Have you experienced a personal change in your beliefs or knowledge? Thank you.
Wow, you guys really search deep for very deep questions. So what does it mean to me going beyond? To me, going beyond is finding your limit, finding that the side of the box that you are currently in, and pushing the limit away to the side. Try to make it bigger. We all have limits. We all do have limits, but we can push those limits away. So I hope not to disappoint you guys, but in my professional experience, the things that push me beyond are performing those tasks that I'm not very talented at because because I don't enjoy them as much. We all have preferences. Some people like science, some people like maintenance, some people like more active stuff. Everybody's preference. When I get to some tasks that are really difficult for me, that's when I find my beyond. And what I mean is that by focusing on doing the best that I can on those tasks, the ones that are hard, the ones that are the most difficult for me, where I'm not good at, trying to be as good as I can be, that's to me going beyond. And here on the space station, I find it every day. There is always something that I find that is frustrating, that is hard, that is difficult, that is more complicated than I expected. It takes more time than I would like to. And that's when I have to gather my resources, get a clear head and say, okay, if it were easy, we wouldn't be here doing this. It wouldn't be interesting. So even though I don't like what I'm doing, I have to put 100% of my capabilities into these tasks so that I can grow, so that I can evolve, so that I can be better tomorrow than I was yesterday. And take it as an opportunity for growth. Right now, one of the hardest things I'm doing is being commander. Being commander of the space station so far has been the most professionally challenging experience ever, because we can teach anybody how to perform a task on a computer, how to do science. We can teach how to fly a spacecraft, but nobody can teach you how to lead. You cannot teach that. You have to find out on your own, and that's what I'm learning every day, every second of my experience up here.
Hello, Luca. My name is Gerarda Gallo. I'm a math and science teacher from Giovanni Falcone School, Grottaferrata, Roma. We can only imagine your emotion moving away from the earth and living in an environment so different to what we are used to. Well, I wish to ask, do you think going beyond means adapting to a new environment and perhaps finding a new planet to live on? How does your experience as astronaut help you appreciate our Earth and see an opportunity to make it better? Thank you so much.
So as I said, going beyond can have any meaning you want. Going beyond doesn't only apply for motion. It's not only about exploration. It can be about internal, inner exploration. So you can apply that meaning to anything, to any difficulty, any obstacle, any kind of limitation that you find in life. Does it mean also exploring for new planets? Why not? In the future, I certainly don't want to impose any limitation on that kind of possibility. Anything that we can think is possible, at least in my opinion. Do we need to do that right now? Well, in the future, if we keep expanding the way we are expanding on Earth, we will run out of resources. So we are going to have to find resources on different planets, or on the moon, or on asteroids. So is that going beyond? Yes, it's going beyond our capabilities of today. How do we do that? We do that by employing science, by employing technology, ingenuity, by having exploration as a way to go beyond what is currently our limit. But yes, I don't think it's a contrast when I say that going beyond is also understanding that what we're doing on Earth right now is damaging our only planet, the only resource for life that we know. And we have to go beyond what we're currently doing in terms of energetic resources, in terms of limiting our CO2 emissions. We have to go beyond our current plans in order to keep our planet viable. Not for life. Life will continue. Life will continue well beyond we are gone. By the time, but we are facing a mass extinction for many species, including man, because of our own incapability of seeing beyond our present times. So yes, going beyond from the space station also means looking down and thinking, we need to put our resources into saving this planet, into understanding that it doesn't belong to us, it belongs to an whole ecosphere, and everybody's part of it. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Luca. We'll now switch over to Spain for 2 questions. Spain, please go ahead.
Hi, Luca. I am Diego Garcia, teacher at FEIP Federico Garcia Lorca, Guabejar in Granada, where we work with 3D printing and educational robotics. Nice to greet you. On Earth, we have created remote control robots that can walk, roll, and even fly. What role do you think this type of advanced robots will have in the future of exploration?
So we already have robotic exploration, and as a matter of fact, ESA's program is called the Human